Alright, so today I'm going to be drinking Jamel for the first time. Jamel is a brand of Cachaça from Brazil, and Cachaça is a type of liquor from Brazil that is made with fermented sugarcane juice, and Cachaça is generally known as Brazil's national type of liquor. I've tried Cachaça before and enjoyed it quite a bit, and so as such, I've been looking for some new brands to try to find out just how they are, what they're like, and what the differences are with what I've tried before. And when I saw this bottle of Jamel on the shelf of a grocery store near me where I'm staying in Brazil, I knew I had to buy it. The price was right, and I also love the brand name of, well, this Cachaça right here, Jamel, as I am a fan of a brand called Camel, and so I want to find out if I'm also a fan of a brand called Jamel as well. Overall, I am very excited to give Jamel Cachaça a go for the very first time, to find out just how it is, what it's like, and what I think of it, to find out whether it is worth purchasing or not, and to find out whether it's worth the price I paid or not as well. How will Jamel actually be? I don't know, but I'm pretty excited to drink some today and to find out. How much did I actually pay for the Jamel Cachaça I have with me today, though? Well, I paid $8.90 in Brazilian reals, or about $1.72 USD. For that price, I got 910 milliliters of Cachaça with an ABV of 39% / a proof of 78. That's pretty good value for money in my personal opinion, but it'll only be good value for money if this is actually a good product. Now, due to the price of Jamel Cachaça, if I had to hazard a guess, this is probably not meant to be drank straight. It's more than likely meant for caipirinhas or for mixed drinks with soda or something along those lines. Nonetheless, today, I will be drinking Jamel Cachaça straight, as I want to find out just what the actual flavor of it is like, and there's no better way to find out what the flavor of a liquor is like than to drink it straight. I do suppose, without further ado, after I thank the sponsor of today's video, I should probably go ahead and cover the fantastic packaging of the bottle of Jamel that I have with me today. Then after that, I should probably go ahead and get the lid all off, go ahead and take a smell of the Jamel, and then after that, once I've done that, once I figured out what the smell is like, I then want to pour some in a glass I have with me today and actually get to drinking some Jamel Cachaça for the very first time. And after I am done drinking, after I have gotten a little bit of a buzz, I'm going to let you guys know just what my final thoughts on Jamel actually are, and I'm going to give this liquor a rating as well. But first off, as said, I need to thank the sponsor of today's video, me. That's right, I'm the sponsor of this video today, as my new poetry book, Poems to Read While Smoking Cigarettes, is out now. If you guys are interested in reading a poetry book of poems to read while smoking cigarettes, this is the right poetry book for you. The poems within this book are not good poems, but they are poems to read while smoking cigarettes. And if you guys are interested in my new poetry book, Poems to Read While Smoking Cigarettes, it's available now on Amazon for $14.99, and I do highly recommend you check it out. Of course, links in the description and comments down below. Make sure to take a look. But now, with the sponsored segment of this video all done, I do suppose I should probably go ahead and cover the packaging of, well, this bottle of Jamel right here. And I think I first off want to start with the materials of the bottle itself and the general shape of the bottle. This is a plastic bottle of Cachaça. This is a plastic bottle of Jamel. Now, they do sell a glass bottle as well. However, that was 4 Brazilian real more, and so I opted for the plastic bottle instead, just because I wanted to be cheap and spend 4 Brazilian reals less than I otherwise would have. So yes, this is a plastic bottle of Jamel. We can see it kind of bending under my fingers just like that, as proof that this is actually plastic. I don't think glass generally bends like that, I will acknowledge. And we can see the general shape of this bottle is, well, you get a little bit of a neck right here, you go to sort of an angle right there, and then another angle, and then you just get a sphere, not a sphere, a cylinder all the way down here kind of thing. A sphere is a circle, but 3D, a cylinder is a cylinder. I don't know what the 2D perspective of a cylinder would be, because a cylinder can really only be 3D now, can't it? But yes, this is a cylinder. I do think, I was about to say maybe it gets a little bit thinner kind of towards the bottom, and I think that might actually be the case. Like, it kind of starts off a little bit thick up here and then slowly gets thinner as it gets to the very bottom right here. But then we've got this little bit of a lip on the very bottom for stabilization reasons, and kind of puffs out towards the bottom right there. Overall, nothing too crazy going on with the shape of this bottle itself. I will acknowledge it's not shaped like anything insane or anything like that kind of thing. It's a pretty standard shaped bottle of liquor by all means, and I think that definitely does help the classic look of this packaging, as yes, I do think this packaging, the Jamel packaging, looks very classic in my personal opinion. Let's go ahead and now cover some of the details, starting off with the cap itself up here, which we can see is a bright yellow color. On the tap of the cap, on the tap of the cap, on the top of the cap, we can see it just says Jamel just right there, and it gives us some little design to tell us how to twist the cap, as this is indeed a twist off cap. We can see there's also some grips on the side of the cap as well, and down the side right here we can see it just says Jamel just right there embossed into the cap, and we can see it again on the other side as well. And the Jamel text itself is kind of recessed into the top of the cap with a little bit of a reflective look to it, whereas the rest is a little bit more matte, I would say. We can also see when this bottle was actually made right here on the side of the cap, and we can see that it was made on the 22nd of May 2026, so pretty recently, I will acknowledge. Excuse me, just had a little bit of a burp, but yep, that's all there is to the details on the cap and on the top of the bottle itself. We can of course see the bottle itself is clear, but there is, unlike on many plastic bottles, just a little bit of an indentation actually right here on the bottle itself. This looks like some sort of like not rubber stamp, but some sort of like wax stamp sort of design or something like that kind of thing on the bottle itself. That's something I've seen from liquor previously. I believe it's Tanqueray Gin, which I haven't tried before, but which I have seen in stores before. Has sort of like a wax stamp design to it, I want to say, right on the front of the bottle. And it looks like they're going for something similar in the plastic itself just right there. I don't know exactly what that wax stamp is supposed to say or represent, but it looks like it has like a little bit of an M right there or something like that. Maybe that's the distillery name that produces Jamel, I'm not exactly sure. But below this design on the bottle itself, we move on to the label on the front of the bottle, which is where the classic design is in my personal opinion. And just from the background, from the font used, from just the design stylization as a whole, this entire design to me just screams classic. Not really vintage per se, but classic and retro, I really think, are the right way of describing this design. I really like the design of Jamel, I'll acknowledge. Not just because it's kind of reminiscent of like old camel designs to an extent, but it kind of is at the same time, but also because I just think it looks really good. Like, I just think this is a really nice, classic, clean design. There's more details there than really you notice when you first take a look at the bottle, and I'll get to those in just a couple minutes, but just the upfront, far away look just looks fantastic. We get a little bit of a sort of bronze, sort of gold up here, a little bit of a black, a little bit of a white, and then we go to that yellow background at the very bottom. We go to that gold, black, gold, white, black, and then we go to the gold once again. They've got some information right there on this little circle, which I'll cover in just a moment, but within the main section of the label itself, in the middle right here, we can see that yellow background as said, and on that yellow background we get the very iconic, simple, stylized Jamel text right here, which I just think looks so good, I'll acknowledge. Now, it appears to be just in a pretty basic red, which does a very good job of calling out to you on the shelf in my personal opinion, but upon closer inspection, we can see that there are some other details to the text as well, which makes it just pop a little bit more, I will acknowledge. We can see the red Jamel text itself has a background of, or not a background, sorry, a border of a sort of gold, I will acknowledge. And then both inside and outside of the text itself, there is a little bit of a black drop shadow as well, which gives it a little bit of a three-dimensional look in my personal opinion, and really does just make this logo, this label, this branding just pop a little bit more than it would otherwise if it was just a flat red on the bottle. I think the text right here, the stylization of it is done very well, I will acknowledge. And below the Jamel text itself right here, we have a little bit of a camel. Now, I don't remember what the right names for the types of camels are. There's a camel with one hump, and then there's a camel with two humps. I'm pretty sure a camel with two humps is called a dromedary. I might be wrong about that. Maybe that's a camel with one hump. I'm not exactly sure. I have no idea. I am not a camel expert by any means when it comes to real life camels. I'm just an expert on camel branded products, although I'm not even an expert on those, I do want to acknowledge. but we do have a little bit of a camel right here. Now, to distinguish Jamel from, I assume, camel, of course, they opted for a two-hump design rather than a one-hump design. They don't want to get in any legal issues or anything like that kind of thing. So, of course, they had to be a little bit careful. But we see the camel itself right here. It's made up of a very nice brown, I would say, with some highlights and some darker shadowed areas as well. Has a little bit of a mouthpiece and headpiece on as well, with some tassels kind of dropping down, and of course two humps as said. No sort of shadow or anything like that under the camel, but overall a very nice, clean, classic look if you ask me. And all on the background of the yellow, we can see there is white text just repeating over and over and over and over and over again, and that text just reads Jamel, 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 over and over and over again. I honestly really like it when brands do that, I'll acknowledge. Like this branding for this bottle is like hitting like so many like spots that I love design-wise. It's got a really simple yet complex sort of logo design. It's got a funny name. It looks kind of classic and retro in my personal opinion. I will acknowledge I'm a big fan of this packaging, and it's hitting so many good spots, including the fact that it literally says just Jamel, Jamel, Jamel all over and over and over and over and over and over again on the background, and we can see that right here kind of thing. And I think that is a really nice look. You can't really see that from a distance, but up close you can really see that, and so it's something you really only notice when you're looking at the bottle up close and personal, and that's something that I really do like. On the bottom of the packaging, just right here, just says that this bottle contains 910 milliliters. On the other side, it just says that this is Cachaça, and then it says Adocada, which I don't know what that means. I don't know what Adocada means, but it does say Cachaça. Maybe Adocada is Cachaça in another language that is also common in Brazil. I'm not exactly sure. In the area of Brazil that I'm in, everybody speaks Portuguese, but maybe Adocada means Cachaça in Spanish, for example, as well. Where I am in Brazil, we're definitely a little bit, oh man, a bug just hit me in my face. We're definitely a little bit closer to Argentina than not, into Paraguay and Uruguay than not as well. So there definitely are a lot of Spanish speakers in the area where I'm currently staying in Brazil. So maybe Cachaça is Portuguese and then Adocada is Spanish. I'm not exactly sure. I have no idea. I'm kind of just talking. I don't know what I'm talking about in regards to that. But let me know why there are two different sort of names right there if you guys know. And then in the middle right here we get what looks like a little reward or award medal or something like that kind of thing. It's got that gold background, some black details, and it just says Desti 1959 Brazil just right there. That's when Jamel as a brand was first founded, from what I know at least. So of course they want to proudly state that on the bottle and make it look like it's a little bit of an award while at it. Just says Industria Brasilia, and then it also just says Industria Miciato de Bebidas Ltd. So I assume Misciato would be the distillery name of Jamel, and that probably explains why there's an M right here. It's all coming together. It's all coming together. I love that. I love that. And that's really all there is to the front of the Jamel bottle. That's all there is to the front of the Jamel packaging. I'm a fan. I really like this. I think this bottle goes crazy hard. I ain't gonna lie. This is great packaging. I love this. And Camel, take notes. Camel's got to start taking notes, because I gotta admit, I like this more than this. Not like product wise, just like design wise for the packaging, I will acknowledge. but that's all that's going on with this side of the bottle. Let's go ahead and cover the other side now. We can see this side is pretty much just advertising with the barcode right there, a lot of information and everything like that kind of thing. We can see we get a pretty similar border on the top and the bottom right there. Just says Jamel right here with the dromedary. I think that's what you call the two-hump camels, not exactly sure, but we see the miniaturized Jamel design that we saw very big on the front right there, on the back as well. And then it just says Industria Misciato di Bibidis Ltd, has all of their information and everything like that. It looks like this bottle might have been made in Jandea du Sol, I want to say, quite possibly. Let's take a look. It says ingredients: Cachaça, agua potável y aqua de cana. So I believe that's maybe sugar, or sorry, water with sugar. I didn't bring out my other phone with me today, so I don't have a translator, but Cachaça, and I believe water with sugar is what's in this ingredients-wise. Industria Brasileira, and then we just get some information and whatnot kind of thing. Just says now contemn gluten, which means gluten-free, no gluten, which I really do appreciate. Just says don't contain excessive amounts of alcohol, don't sell to people under the age of 18, and they've also got their copyright information on the back. Got a little bit of a QR code. We've got the actual stamp design right there on the back as well. And then it just says recycle. This is a PET bottle, a PET recyclable bottle, and then we got the barcode right there. And that's really all that's going on with the packaging as a whole. Pretty much just informational on this side, I will acknowledge. Overall, anything else going on? Nope. Nothing really else going on. They really do try to make this bottle look like a glass bottle, though. I mean, like, look at that. They didn't have to do that for the bottom of a plastic bottle, but they did. And this is what you see on the bottom of a glass bottle, but they put it on the bottom of a plastic bottle instead. That's pretty cool, in my personal opinion. Yeah, a lot of thought went into this bottle, in my personal opinion, and a lot of thought went into the design as well. No complaints. I love the design of Jamel Cachaça, I will acknowledge. Well, before I go ahead and get this bottle all opened up, I first off want to grab a little bit of a thumbnail real quick. Jamel. Had to do it, you know what I'm saying? Had to do it. Had to grab myself a little bit of a thumbnail before we really get into sipping and smelling this liquor right here. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get the cap off, and let's go ahead and smell Jamel Cachaça for the very first time. If I can get the lid off, which is kind of just spinning and not doing anything. So let's... Oh, man. Okay, let's try that again. There we go. Okay, it took me a moment, but I got it. And we can see on the inside of the cap, we've got a little bit of a slow pour right there. I do like my slow pours. They make pouring alcohol just a little bit easier than otherwise, so this is a thing that is nice to see. Let's go ahead and smell some Jamel Cachaça for the very first time. Overall, I gotta admit, a little bit more of an intense smell when compared to the Cachaça I've tried previously. I've only ever tried one other variety of Cachaça. It was the Cachaça 51 to be precise. And this, in my opinion, smells definitely a little bit different than the Cachaça 51, for sure. It smells, one, a little bit stronger in my personal opinion. And two, I think it smells a little bit sweeter. And while there is definitely that familiar sort of fermented sugarcane sort of smell with a little bit of a fruity scent to it, it's just a little bit different overall. Rather than kind of being like a little bit of a banana sort of smell, in my personal opinion, it is instead more of a pineapple tropical fruit smell. I would actually say just pineapple. Like, there's still a little bit of banana in there, but I would have to say this has a more prominently pineapple-like smell to it. Now I'd have to say the smell of Jamel Cachaça as a whole is very much that of a smell of fermented sugarcane juice, of course, with an undertone of pineapple, a little bit of banana, and tropical fruits. And really, overall, yeah, smells very good. Smells very sweet. Smells like pineapple, which is a pretty pleasant smell in my personal opinion. I like the taste of pineapple, and I like the smell of pineapple, and this doesn't smell like it's gonna burn my throat by any means kind of thing. Well, let's go and pour some in my glass I have with me today, and let's go ahead and smell some of my glass as well real quick. Let's go and pour some Jamel in my, not Jamel branded glass. I was about to joke and say it's a Jamel branded glass, but it ain't. Let's go and pour some Jamel in my glass now. I think I'll start off with that much. That should do me pretty good for my first drink of the video. I do think later on I may mix a little bit of water with Jamel as well and see how that is too, but let's go ahead and put that down, and let's go ahead and, I had something in my glass. Nope, it's on the outside. It's on the outside of my glass. What was that on the outside of my glass? I don't know, but let's go ahead and smell what's on the inside. And overall, more of the same, really hasn't changed. Sometimes with liquor, you definitely do notice a little bit of a change of scent once you actually put it in a glass and it's out of the bottle, but I'm not noticing too much of that here. Maybe a little bit, though, I will acknowledge. Actually, the more I smell it, the more I'm going, okay, yeah, the smell has actually changed just a little bit kind of thing. I think I spoke a little bit too soon. But yeah, the smell in the glass is a little bit less sweet, a little bit more mild, I would say. And the smell is also, I would say, a little bit more banana-like and a little bit less pineapple-y. But all of those are still in there. There's still that fermented sort of smell. So still that sort of banana smell and a little bit of pineapple and a little bit of like other sort of like tropical fruit-esque sort of scents going on. And it very much smells extremely wet. It really does smell almost like a wet forest with a lot of downed trees on a rainy day kind of thing, but with a lot of fruit kind of surrounding you. Like you just got done eating a whole fruit salad for lunch and now you're walking through the forest. That's kind of what it smells like, I'll acknowledge. Overall, smells pretty solid. Smells pretty solid, and I got no complaints on my behalf. Well, let's go and grab myself another quick little bit of a thumbnail. Jamel. Jamel. Well, without further ado, I do think it is time to drink Jamel. It's time to drink some Jamel. So let's go and drink some Jamel. Let's find out just how Jamel Cachaça really is for the very first time. And let's find out if it's actually worth the price or not. And let's find out if it's actually worth buying or not. Will Jamel Cachaça actually be good? Let's find out. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying. A little bit rough. Very sweet. In my opinion, the Cachaça 51 had a almost sort of watery sort of mouthfeel to it, which was really interesting. Because I really wasn't expecting that from something made with fermented sugarcane juice, frankly put. The Jamel, on the other hand, is a bit more sweet, a little bit more syrupy, for sure. Yeah, I would have to say the mouthfeel of the Jamel Cachaça, just right off the bat, is very much that of a watery but very sweet, syrupy sort of mouthfeel. Is definitely a little bit more sticky than the Cachaça 51, if you ask me, and definitely is, it's a syrupy mouthfeel. I would have to say it's a syrupy, watery, sweet mouthfeel overall. Now, overall, flavor-wise, it's very sweet flavor-wise, I can say that. It's quite sweet. What I tried previously was already very sweet, and this Jamel is even more sweet. This is some very, very, very sweet liquor. Ooh. Definitely, I would say, a little bit more difficult to drink straight than the Cachaça 51, but not exorbitantly so. This is far easier to drink straight than Everclear or Tito's vodka. Heaven forbid, I hate Tito's. But it's certainly as easy to drink straight as the Cachaça 51 in my personal opinion. But in my opinion, I mean, like, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. You can definitely tell. I think they've added a little bit more sugar than probably the Cachaça 51 for sure. This definitely has a little bit of added sugar. If I had to hazard a guess, could just be production process, I don't know. But if I had to hazard a guess, they might have added some sugar in there at some point, kind of thing. I do realize this is literally made with just pure fermented sugarcane juice, so it does seem kind of amusing to say that they added sugar, but I kind of feel like they do. I kind of feel like they did. And I think it literally said that on the back of the bottle now, didn't it? But overall, flavor-wise, it's quite nice. It's quite nice. Very much out of a, I would have to say, fermented sort of fruit flavor. I would have to say mainly banana and pineapple. Pineapple and banana. Pineapple is more distinct than banana. With some other sort of tropical fruits going on as well, kind of thing. I would have to say, you know, a little bit of mango. I would have to say a little bit of... What other tropical fruits are there? Other tropical fruits. I think Kool-Aid Hawaiian Punch. I don't even know if that's Kool-Aid. Isn't that some other brand? I don't know. Oh. Ignore that. I just got something stuck in the back of my throat. That wasn't me coughing because of the liquor. No way. It's solid though. It's a bit overwhelmingly sweet for me to want to drink straight, like on a regular basis kind of thing. I'll acknowledge that Cachaça 51, drinking straight, I actually really enjoyed drinking straight kind of thing. It wasn't overwhelmingly sweet. It wasn't too much of any one thing kind of thing. It was really nice. Jamel, on the other hand, not something that I personally would want to drink straight again in the future. It's just too sweet. It's too sugary. It's too much. But drinking it straight right now, I'm not minding it kind of thing. If I had no other option but Jamel and I had to drink it straight, I'd drink it straight. It certainly ain't that bad kind of thing. And I'm not going to describe this as being a bad liquor. Just not one that is designed to be drank straight in any way, shape, or form. This is absolutely, in my opinion, designed to be a mixer. And when you use the Jamel Cachaça as a mixer, I in specific think it is designed to be a mixer that doesn't just add alcohol, but also adds sweetness to your beverage as well. So if you're mixing it into a caipirinha, you would expect the caipirinha made with Jamel to be a lot sweeter than a caipirinha made with, like, let's say the Cachaça 51 or something else that is more along those lines, where it's a little bit less sweet kind of thing. If you mix it with Coca-Cola or Sprite, it's of course going to sweeten the drink rather than just add alcohol, I will acknowledge. So this is definitely a sugary mixer that is designed to add a little bit of sugar to your mixed drink, and is probably not designed to be drank straight. The Cachaça 51 absolutely could be drank straight and was honestly quite enjoyable to drink straight. The Jamel, on the other hand, man, not so much. Not so much. It's just a bit too much sweetness-wise to drink straight. But, I mean, like, honestly, it ain't half bad straight. Honestly, I've had far worse. And Jamel Cachaça, especially for the price, $1.72 USD. I ain't minding by any means. I ain't minding by any means. I don't mind it. I don't mind it. How can I complain? I can't complain. I can't complain about $1.72 USD. I mean, like, for that same price, I'm getting a tall boy 9% strong zero from Japan, which I already thought was really good value for money, but this is a full liquor bottle for the same price as a tall boy 9% strong zero from Japan. Yeah. Pretty good value for money in my personal opinion. Really trying to determine, really trying to think what the flavor is like though. And honestly, the sweetness is so pronounced that it's really hard to tell. You know, while I'm sipping away, while I'm thinking a little bit, you know, maybe I need to have a little bit of something, you know. What would go well with some Jamel? You know, maybe, just maybe, a camel would go well with some Jamel. I'm just saying, there's a possibility. There's a possibility that Jamel might pair well with another product called Camel. I'm thinking it's possible. So, you know, maybe after the next sip, I'll see if that is actually the case. The more I do drink, though, the smoother it gets. I'm not really getting a super big buzz right now, but something light is coming on for sure. But you know, let's have one of these. Let's have one of these, and let's continue having a little bit more Jamel. You know what I'm saying? You know, we got the Jamel original blend with us today. We got the Camel with us today. You know, a little bit of Jamel. It's got a camel on the packaging. Have a little bit of Camel with some Jamel. You know, no complaints on my behalf. All right, yeah, I am starting to get a buzz. I will acknowledge it. The Jamel, that 39%, you know, I have drank like half what I poured into my glass, which was like over a shot's worth. I am feeling a little bit buzzed, and I gotta admit, Cachaça gets me buzzed. It does get me really buzzed. Cachaça does hit really hard. It is really nice stuff. I gotta admit though, so far, these two are pairing decently together. Ooh. Do Jamel and Camel branded products pair together more decently than not? You know, I would have to say, they most certainly do. They most certainly do, baby. Yes, sir. A camel and some Jamel, a Jamel and some camel. It goes together. It goes together. No complaints, no complaints. I figured it was going to, because, you know. But I wasn't sure, so I had to try. I had to find out for myself, you know what I'm saying? Flavor-wise, though, the Jamel is just very overwhelmingly sweet. It is very, very, very overwhelmingly sweet. But under that overwhelming sweetness, under that overwhelming sugariness, which the sugariness coming from the Jamel, of course, part of it is coming from that sort of fermented sugarcane juice flavor kind of thing. But some of it, I am confident in saying, is added in post because it just tastes like sugar. It doesn't taste like it's coming from sugarcane juice per se. It just tastes like sugar. But under that, I would definitely have to say, yeah, a little bit of pineapple, a little bit of banana, and a little bit of sort of a tropical fermented fruit flavor. The pineapple and banana, and actually that sort of tropical fruit flavor, I would say is not really fermented, but there is definitely fermented flavor in there, kind of thing. So I will think over the next minute or so as I continue sipping as to what the flavor of Jamel really is like description-wise. But yeah, a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of fruity flavor, lots of sweetness, good fruity flavor. No, can't complain. And as I continue drinking, the smoother Jamel gets, I can say that for sure. It's actually not that cold out here, and that wasn't coming from this. It's like probably like 65 degrees out here right now, but it's so humid. It's so humid out here right now that you can see my breath at 65 degrees. Not joking. You can literally see my breath at 65 degrees. That's how humid it is out here. It's literally like 100% humidity out here right now. Granted, it was raining like all last night and for most of the day today, so it does make sense. And it has not dried off one bit. I am absolutely getting buzzed though, for sure. No question in my mind, I am getting buzzed. No complaints on my behalf, I gotta admit, no complaints. I definitely think Cachaça. Cachaça? I definitely do think Cachaça would be good in a caipirinha, because that's the primary component of a caipirinha. But I definitely do think Jamel would be a good component in a caipirinha if you want a sweeter than that caipirinha. If you don't want a more mild sour caipirinha, I would definitely have to say Jamel is a Cachaça that you might want to look for. That's definitely, I think, kind of what it's designed for. It's designed to sweeten drinks for sure, in my personal opinion. So yeah, I definitely think if you want a really sweet caipirinha, I mean, like, you're already adding sugar to a caipirinha. I'm like, that's what the recipe calls for. Lime juice, sugar, and ice, kind of thing. So if you go for a Jamel caipirinha, then I definitely do think it's going to be even sweeter. So if you want a more mild, less sweet caipirinha, Jamel is not going to be what you want. But if you want a really sweet one, I think Jamel is going to be what you want, kind of thing, I'll acknowledge. What's the flavor of Jamel actually like, though? Well, I would have to say it's a flavor of fermented rotting sugarcane in the best way possible. Not in a bad way, I want to clarify, in the best way possible, with an undertone of pineapple, banana, and some other like tropical-esque fruits, I would say. Man, I can do a better job of describing the flavor than that though, so I will try that again. Definitely burns the back of my throat just a little bit though. For sure, for sure. I'm buzzed. This stuff has me pretty good. I'm sure it's all the added sugar getting me real good, because it's getting me real good. Yeah, overall flavor-wise, in my opinion, Jamel is a sweet, syrupy, wet flavor. Distinctly a sweet, syrupy, wet flavor with a sweet, syrupy mouthfeel. But with the flavor nuances, it gets a bit more complex. Excuse me. And I would have to say, the nuances in the flavor, starting off with the most intense, going to the least intense, we have a overwhelmingly sweet, sugary flavor that is separate from a fermenting, almost like rotting sugarcane flavor kind of thing. And I say that in the best way possible. I know rotting is not generally used in a positive way, but best way possible kind of thing. Best way possible. So yeah, we get a extremely sweet sugar flavor up at the very top kind of thing. It's just sugar. Just straight like sugar cube sugar type sugar kind of thing. So we just get a very, up at the very top, most intensely, sugar cube sugar type flavor with under that just a little bit a fermented sugarcane juice, sort of slightly rotting-esque flavor in the best way possible. I want to clarify, kind of tastes like the smell of you're walking through a forest with lots of downed rotting trees in the best way possible to an extent kind of thing, not to a full degree, but that's a good way of putting it. And then after that, I'm getting a little bit of a sweet, sort of citrusy, sour, a little bit of a pineapple flavor, a little bit of a banana flavor, and a little bit of a just sort of other fruits, sort of tropical fruit flavor. Mango, I feel like, is one of them, and the other ones are not really coming to mind, but there's a little bit of that going on as well, in my personal opinion. That's very much what the flavor of the Jamel Cachaça is actually like, in my personal opinion. That's what this stuff right here actually tastes like. And overall, I gotta admit, for the price, how can you go wrong with Jamel? How can you go wrong with Jamel? Like, don't get me wrong. Jamel is nothing crazy. You know, if it was in the United States, I would pay no more than $18.99 for a bottle of Jamel. And I say no more, but honestly, more of a reasonable price would be $14.99 for this bottle of Jamel right here in the US of A. I would want to pay no more than that, but actually pay no more than $18.99 if I wanted to make a caipirinha with it. It's not the greatest thing around. I'm not going to deny that. For sipping straight, at least, I think Jamel Cachaça will be especially good, though, in a caipirinha. Now, I'm not going to be making a caipirinha today. I don't have the ingredients in front of me by any means. However, I will be mixing some with some water in just a moment. I think that's going to be really nice, really pleasant, really good. But yeah, Jamel is not a very good thing to sip straight. It's not the highest quality liquor out there by any means. However, for $8.90 Brazilian real, for $1.72 USD, for 910 milliliters of liquor with an ABV of 39%, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with Jamel. I mean, like, how can you go wrong with Jamel for that price? Frankly put, you cannot go wrong with Jamel for $1.72 USD, for $8.90 Brazilian real. You can't go wrong with it. This is a very solid liquor for the price, and one that I am very glad that I bought, and I'm very glad that I tried it, and overall I have no regrets about buying and trying Jamel. None at all. It might be a little bit too sweet. It might be a little bit too much to drink straight, in my personal opinion. Personally, Jamel, I cannot see myself ever drinking it straight again in the future. But absolutely, I can see myself I can absolutely see myself drinking it as a mixer. No question in my mind, kind of thing. I can absolutely see myself doing that. Yeah, Jamel. It's solid. It's solid. It's not the greatest caipirinha I've ever had, or caipirinha is not. I'm buzzed. Cachaça gets me really good. It's not the greatest Cachaça I've ever heard, but it is. It's not the greatest Cachaça I've ever had, but it is solid nonetheless. It's the second Cachaça I've ever had, though, and I'm very glad that it was the second one. Do I prefer Jamel, or the Cachaça 51, though? I prefer the Cachaça 51. I find the Cachaça 51 to just be better to drink straight. Personally, while I haven't tried Jamel as a mixer yet, I don't really like overwhelmingly sweet mixed drinks, so I do still think I will prefer the Cachaça 51. However, I do think Jamel will be definitely some people's thing, for sure, and without a doubt, Jamel is a solid liquor, no question in my mind. It is absolutely a solid liquor, no question kind of thing, especially for the price. To drink it straight, I'm going to give it a very solid 5 out of 10. just a straight 5 out of 10 kind of thing. It is not great to drink straight. It's really not. I mean, like, there's flavor profile in there. It doesn't really develop over time, though. The Cachaça 51, I noticed a little bit of development kind of thing. With the Jamel, not so much. It's just too sweet for that. But 5 out of 10, I think it is definitely deserving for the Jamel as something to drink straight. As a mixer, I'm expecting a little bit of a higher rating. But before I go ahead and get to mixing, I actually need to take a little bit of a piss. I need to go to the bathroom. So I'm going to go to the bathroom. Then after that, we're going to go and mix some Jamel with some water, have a Jamel mixed drink for the very first time. And that's the plan. But Jamel, overall, well worth the price. Very solid for the price. Not bad to drink on, especially considering the price. And while it's not something that personally I want to drink straight again, personally, honestly, how can I complain? How can I complain kind of thing? It's just too sweet for me personally. But I think it's going to be way better as a mixer. And overall, even though I personally wouldn't drink Jamel straight again, I've still loved drinking Jamel straight because it's Jamel. I really wanted to try Jamel, find out how it is, what it's like, and everything like that kind of thing. And I'm very glad to have done exactly that today. I gotta take a piss though. I've needed to take a piss for like the last 15 minutes, so I'm gonna go take a piss. I'll be back, and we're gonna get to drinking a mixed Jamel beverage in just a few minutes. I'll be back. All right, and we are back. How's it going, y'all? Hope all y'all had a great little break, you know what I'm saying? I say it was only 2 seconds on video, but it was about 3 minutes in my time, I will acknowledge. Without further ado, though, I do think it is time to go ahead and try a Jamel mixed drink for the very first time. It was definitely interesting when drank straight. Not quite my thing, way too sweet, but solid, especially considering the price, in my personal opinion. Very, very, very good for what I paid for the bottle of Jamel. So absolutely no complaints on my behalf in that regard. I'm very glad that I purchased Jamel and tried it today, that is for sure. But how will it be with some water? A Jamel and water. Let's give a Jamel and water a go today. Let's find out how that's going to be. So let's go ahead and get the cap off of my Jamel, and let's go ahead and pour some in my glass. And I think I'm going to go for about that amount in my glass, and I'm going to fill the rest up with some water. I think is my plan more so than not. I'm just going to make sure the door is closed, and I think I might have, you know, another little bit of a camel while drinking some Jamel today, you know. Maybe, just maybe. Yes, sir, yes. I love that. I love the similar names. It goes so hard. I need a slow pour on this water bottle, let me tell y'all what. I was about to mess that up. And I've got my new poetry book, Poems to Read While Smoking Cigarettes, on the table in front of me, and I just about poured water all over my new poetry book, Poems to Read While Smoking Cigarettes. I can't believe this. I can't be doing that. I can't be pouring water all over my new poetry book, Poems to Read While Smoking Cigarettes. It's not titled Poems to Read While Soaking Your New Poetry Book, Poems to Read While Smoking Cigarettes in Water. It's titled Poems to Read While Smoking Cigarettes. Well, without further ado, let's go ahead and try my first ever Jamel mixed drink, and let's find out just how it is, what it's like, and what I think of it. Yes, sir, you know what I'm saying. Even in a mixer with water, at least, I do still prefer the Cachaça 51. Just right off the bat, I'll acknowledge. I just find it to have a more pleasant flavor personally, even in a mixer like it is right now with some water. The Jamel is far too sweet. It is far too sweet in my personal opinion. However, I definitely do think in a caipirinha, with that lime juice kind of covering up a little bit of that sweetness, I think Jamel will really come into its own. So I definitely think Jamel is absolutely a Cachaça that is not meant for every mixed drink. It's absolutely not. A more mild, less sweet mixed drink is not what Jamel is for. It's for a caipirinha. It's for, I think a Jamel and Sprite would be pretty solid kind of thing. But a Jamel and water, I don't think that's quite what it's for, but that's what I'm going to be drinking the rest of during this video today, because I already poured myself a glass of it and I'm not wasting it. And also, it's not bad enough to not drink. It's actually still pretty solid. And I know I've been very critical of Jamel today, but in reality, it is, in my opinion, not a bad liquor by any means. I have had some pretty bad liquors, and Jamel, honestly, is not one of them. Jamel is solid. Jamel is solid. It's just not my thing. It's just not my thing, and I think that's really the right way to describe Jamel. It's not my personal thing. It's way too sweet for me personally, so it's just really not my thing. I'll acknowledge. But I definitely do think for some, Jamel might be the one. And while it's not my thing, I can definitely see myself, if I am in Brazil in the future, drinking more Jamel. I'll acknowledge. I can see myself buying another bottle of Jamel. I can see myself drinking more Jamel. And I can see myself using Jamel in a caipirinha or something like that kind of thing. No question in my mind. Excuse me. Overall, as something to drink straight, Jamel, in my opinion, is not truly bad. For something to be truly bad, it truly has to be disgusting kind of thing. And that's why Jamel is getting a 5 out of 10. Anything below a 5 out of 10, it's like, whew, this is gross. Jamel is not gross. Jamel is pretty good, but it's not good to drink straight kind of thing. It's way too sweet to drink straight. So it's getting a 5 out of 10 as a liquor to drink straight. As a mixer, though, I'm going to bump it up to a very solid 8 out of 10. I think Jamel deserves an 8 out of 10 as a mixer. Now, I don't think it's going to be a mixer that is to everybody's preference by any means. And I'm kind of getting my words all jumbled up. I'm a little bit buzzed right now, but I don't think Jamel is going to be a mixer that is to everybody's preference. I think it will be a little bit too sweet for some people, but I absolutely do think that... Wait a minute, let me take a sip of this. I'm kind of getting a Sprite-like flavor. I'm kind of getting a Sprite-like flavor. What? Oh yeah, Jamel's gonna be fire with Sprite. I gotta try Jamel with Sprite, no question in my mind. Absolutely. But yeah, honestly, the Jamel in my water is kind of giving me like a Sprite, like an unsweetened Sprite-like flavor. That's interesting. That's very interesting. But yeah, as a mixer, I really do think Jamel is going to come into its own. And so as a mixed rating, I think a very solid 6.5. No, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. I'm gonna give Jamel Cachaça a very solid 7 out of 10 combined rating. As something to drink straight, it's a 5 out of 10. It's not truly disgusting, because it's not disgusting. It's not disgusting in any way, shape, or form. It's just way too sweet to drink straight. But as something to mix, I think it's very solid. I think it would be very good with a Sprite. I think it would be really good with a ginger ale, maybe. I think it would be really good in a caipirinha. I think it would be very solid in a lot of like sweet fruit flavored sodas kind of thing, if I had to hazard a guess. But on its own, it's really not the greatest. So yeah, 8 out of 10 mixer wise, in my opinion, and 5 out of 10. 5 out of 10 to drink straight. And I think a 7 out of 10 combined rating overall is pretty deserving for the Jamel Cachaça that I drank and tried for the very first time today. That's kind of my take. That's kind of my take. I'll acknowledge. No complaints. Yeah. Overall, I gotta admit, I am very glad I bought Jamel liquor. I'm very glad I bought the Jamel Cachaça. I gotta acknowledge. It's been an experience. It's been an experience. I don't think I'll ever be drinking Jamel straight again in the future, but you know, if I do, I won't mind it. And I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to possibly trying some mixed drinks with Jamel in the future, I will acknowledge. And that was my first Jamel and water. New mixed drink name. Jamel and water. Jamel and water. New mixed drink name. I think that goes pretty hard. But just going to finish this, and I think that's going to be the video right there. Overall, final thoughts on Jamel. Would I buy another bottle in the future? Excuse me. I cannot see Jamel becoming a standard purchase of mine kind of thing. There are certain liquors that I just like to have on hand kind of thing. I'll acknowledge. I like to have the Evan Williams Bottled and Bond on hand back home in the United States, for example. That's one of my go-to standard liquors that I just want a bottle of on deck all the time, no matter what kind of thing. Jamel is not that. It's something that I will buy for specific purposes, for specific drinks, or if I am craving it, but it's not something that I can see myself buying all the time by any means. But it is nonetheless something that I can absolutely see myself buying again in the future for specific purposes or for a specific craving, I will acknowledge. And I'm definitely going to enjoy drinking the rest of my bottle of Jamel. If I get through the rest of it, I do want to acknowledge. I'm not in Brazil for like that long. It's only a week and a half here, and I'm coming up on the later part of the trip, I will acknowledge. So I'm not sure if I'm going to get through the entire bottle of Jamel, but I'm going to try my hardest too. But yeah, overall, this has been very solid experience. I've enjoyed Jamel. I'd buy a bottle again. I'm gonna enjoy drinking as much of the rest of the bottle as I possibly can. And I've got a nice buzz right now, so I'm like, how can I complain, right? How can I complain? No complaints on my behalf, frankly put. Not at all, not at all. Jamel. I haven't mind trying it today, and I'm very glad. I'm very, very, very glad to have tried Jamel for the very first time. Well, that's all I had to that. I'm gonna go put the lid on it, on my ashtray that is. I've got my ashtray out here with me today. I'm buzzed, I'm getting words all jumbled up. I've said that a couple times, but I really am quite buzzed. Cachaça gets me really good. I'm feeling nice right now. I think, and one of the things I find really interesting about Cachaça, like after I drank the Cachaça 51 a couple videos ago, I was like, man, I want more sugar. The Jamel makes me want so much sugar as well. Like I have a Coca-Cola downstairs. I want to go drink that Coca-Cola. So I think low-key I'm gonna go do that. I think low-key I'm gonna go drink that Coca-Cola, and I'm gonna have a great rest of my night. Thank you so much for watching this video where I drank Jamel Cachaça for the very first time. It's been a great experience drinking Jamel, you know? Very interesting experience, very good experience. Absolutely no complaints on my behalf. I had a great time, and I hope you guys have enjoyed watching today's video. If you guys have, of course, like, subscribe. Make sure to check out my new poetry book, Poems to Read While Smoking Cigarettes, linked in the description and comments down below. Highly recommend, of course. Appreciate all y'all watching this video today. And until the next one, y'all, stay safe and peace, and have a great one.